Alou now pinch hits for the Rockies. Larry Walker. Alou won the 1994 All-Star game. He was still a member of the Expos then, with an extra inning double into the gap in left center off the White Sox Jason Beret at Pittsburgh. It scored Tony Gwynn with the winning run and snapped a 6-game National League losing streak. Chases a pitch up in his eyes.
Moises Alou is one of the best fastball hitters in either league. He can turn anybody's fastball around. He went up and out of the zone for that fastball. It was 98 miles an hour from Cologne.
And Alou gets a whiff of Cologne as the 5th comes to a close. But it's highlighted by Bond's 3-run shot, and the National League jumps back in front.
Welcome back to Coors Field. I'm Jim Gray. I'm now joined by Mark McGwire. Mark is now finished for the day. Scored a run. Mark, you get a day off now and it all starts up again. How are you going to handle this second half with everybody and the questions and so forth?
Well, same way I handled the first half. I think when I came out and said that I'm going to do the media stuff before a series on the road, I think that's the most sensible thing. It just, I can't let anything affect the way I'm going to play the game. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to play the game of baseball. If home runs happen, they happen. There's not a little knob on that. The bat says, oh, I'm going to hit a home run. This is bat. I work hard at what I do, and I got a lot of hard work in the second half.
What's it like for you when an entire stadium or television audience is watching, expecting you to hit a home run? Do you become disappointed when you don't?
No, because I'm realistic about things. I can't do it every at bat. I can't do it every day. I can't do it every week. It just happens. You go in streaks where you're going to hit some, you get in a nice groove, and then you go in streaks where you're hit one every week or so. But I just got to work hard at what I do.
Do you think about the pressure? Of course, we've heard about Maris and losing the hair, and of course what Hank Aaron went through. Do you think about the pressure, or is it just much too soon at this point?
I think it's much too soon. My goal is to finish the season with having red on my goatee. If this is all great, then I think maybe the stress and the pressures hit me.
Are you having fun with this?
Oh, yeah, I always have fun. This is a great game of baseball. Look at all the fans out here. I know we, the players, thank the fans for coming back. And, what we did in '94 scarred the game. And I think right now it's on an upswing. And there's some great talent in the major leagues right now. And I'm just glad that everybody's coming out to watch us.
If, in fact, one of you does break the record, whose chances would you like? Yours, Sosa's, Griffey's? How would you handicap this if you were just an average guy sitting at home watching and taking this all in?
Honestly, dead even. I do dead even because it's, you just don't know what's going to happen, how they're going to pitch you, what teams in the independent race, and what teams you're playing in the second half that are in the pennant race. There's a lot of things that happen, and they're great talent, and I'm just glad I'm in the class with them.
Mark, good luck to you in the second half. Everybody be watching.
Thanks, Jim.
It's been a pleasure to deal with.
Okay, thank you.
All right, back upstairs to you, Bob and Joe.
Well, he's too modest to say it, Joe, but I think if we had to handicap it, we'd make McGwire the favorite.
Well, he is a more natural home run hitter, although you must admit that Ken Griffey Jr. is the younger of the two.
And this is Griffey fouling it back. Alomar, who just had the infield hit to open the 6th, was running on the pitch.
And I think Griffey has not had a hot streak so far this season. He's just been pretty consistent as far as hitting home runs. And the last couple of weeks, he has really been swinging the bat well. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was to overtake McGwire in the next couple of weeks. Not that McGwire's going to slow down. I just think Griffey's going to get hot.
Griffey 1 for 2 with a bases-loaded walk thrown in tonight. Shatters his bat. Little roller. Doesn't look like there's a play. Galarraga, the new first baseman, and one of the best in the game defensively, had no chance at Alomar at second base, and had come off the bag, and nobody was going to get Griffey sprinting for first.
Well, this bat is just shattered way in on his fist. He grounds it just wide of the pitcher's mound, and Galarraga tries to go to second base. That's the only place he could have gone. See this bat? Look at the bat fly out there. Galarraga has to wait for the bat to land before he can go get it. And then he only has one play because Griffey was going to be the only player at first base.
So while all this was going on, let's check some of the changes for you. This is not one of them. Juan Gonzalez, for his 4th plate appearance, 0 for 2 with a sacrifice fly. Again he bats in an RBI situation. Cuts and misses on the pitch from Huguet Urbina, the Venezuelan who is the Expos representative. He's 4 and 2. Look at that ERA. Plus 20 saves, and save opportunities aren't that plentiful when you pitch for the Expos.
You're right. He's done a great job so far. Maybe this is a year for Gonzalez. Seems like every time he comes at bat, he has someone in scoring position.
He's behind in the count, 0 and 2. Defensive changes for the National League. Hometown favorite Vinny Castilla is in at 3rd. Galarraga is the new first baseman. Javi Lopez of the Braves back of the plate. Piazza is done. And Huguet Urbina of the Expos is the new pitcher. Middle of the infield remains the same. There's Castilla of the Rockies. The 0-2 to Gonzalez. In the dirt, blocked by Lopez.
And that was Huguet's splitter there. That's really kind of his out pitch. He gets a lot of hitters to chase that pitch out of the strike zone.
Infield singles by Alomar and Griffey put runners at 1st and 2nd with nobody out. And Gonzalez goes fishing and fans. He has left about a month's quota of base runners for him tonight. There were at least 2 men on all 4 times he batted. Once the bases were loaded. Only a sacrifice fly to show for it.
And the record that he is chasing, Hack Wilson's record, may be the most difficult to attain of the 2, meaning the home runs record. I think that RBI record is almost untouchable.
Strike 1 to Tomey.
And look at that, and he has stood for the longest, the 67 years. Hack Wilson, he had such a great closing month of August. He had 53 RBIs in 30 games in August, and you talked about how the other ones have closed, meaning Babe Ruth. He had 17 home runs in September. So these guys may be ahead of their pace, but they're going to have to stay hot at the end.
0-2 to Tomey. Well, since 1962, the highest RBI total for anyone in either league is Andres Galarraga's 150 a couple of years ago. I mean, no one even coming close to Hack Wilson's 190. So you're right, Maris and Ruth have been threatened more often than has Hack Wilson.
Well, look at what Gonzalez is up against. He already has 100. He's had such a fantastic first half. He has 101 RBIs, and he's still 89 short of Hack Wilson.
And remember, Wilson did it in 154-game schedule. Maris's 61 came in the first season of 162. Ruth's 60 in a 154-game schedule. The runners break, and there's no play as Lopez wasn't able to find the handle. So a double steal. Alomar to 3rd and Griffey to 2nd. Leaving Tomey in a spot where a single could give the American League the lead back.
Well, Huguet didn't look back at second base, so they just took off, and that's just a tough play for Lopez. No chance for him to field that ball and make a throw to 3rd. His intentions were to block it, but he was able to catch it and keep it in front of it.
Now Urbina, ahead on the count, 1-2, could really use a strikeout. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Check swing foul.
The one thing about Huguet is he keeps that splitter down, as you noticed. He doesn't get it up in the strike zone. Hitters will chase that pitch more often when it's down.
Here's a note of interest for our old colleague Bob Uecker. Huguet Urbina is the only major leaguer ever with the initials UU. And his brothers are Ulysses Utah Urbina and Ulmer Ulysses Urbina. Huguet's middle name is Urtain. They're all triple U's. The significance of that escapes me. And now the 1-2 pitch.
tries to throw a fastball by Thome, and he gets a piece of it to stay there. After 3 or 4 splitters, he comes with a fastball, and Thome gets a small piece of it to stay alive. Lopez could not hold on to it.
Derek Jeter, awaiting his first turn at bat tonight, is on deck. Another 1-2 pitch. Down and in, 2-2. Top of the 6th, 6-5 National League. Runners at second and third with 1 out for the American League. 2 speedy runners on the pads. Way outside. Lopez can't find it at first, but Alomar's not going anywhere.
I'm not sure he wasn't crossed up on that pitch. It looked like he was looking for a splitter, and it was a fastball away, and now he's talking to Uget. Watch how late Lopez moves on this pitch after we take a look at this fastball away, and you see he was not ready for the fastball. He was thinking the pitch was going to break back towards him. So he thinks it's going to come back towards him, and he's just late getting out there. He thought it was going to be a splitter, so he talked to Uget to make sure that they get their signals straight, because when you have a runner on second, you go through a series of signs, and every once in a while you can have a miscommunication.
Here's the 3-2. Walked him. Bases loaded now with 1 out for Jeter. Saturday at 2 Eastern, the WNBA on NBC continues. A battle of expansion teams as opposed to the venerable teams in the WNBA who have been around for 2 years. It's Detroit against Washington. The Shock against the Mystics. The WNBA on NBC Saturday at 2 Eastern Time. Jeter for his first at bat. Big spot for him. Fouls it off.
Jeter is a guy that goes up there swinging. He does not take very many pitches. He's a hacker.
His skipper, Joe Torre, World Series champions in '96, knocked out of the playoffs the next year by the Indians in a terrific 5-game series. Back on top this year at the break. Called strike, quickly 0-2. Well, Jeter already has 10 home runs halfway through this year, so he's off to his best power season. Just 24, probably gaining strength with each passing year. One and two.
Bob, Jeter and some of the other young stars, I think, are the reason that baseball is bouncing back, because they're held in such high esteem by the fans. And that wasn't the case a few years ago with the young players or the stars of the game. But a lot of these young stars, the fans really like them, and they're all good guys.
Two and two. Just the shortstop position in the American League. It's a demonstration of that. Jeter, Rodriguez, Nomar Garciaparra, who had to be left off this year. There's no nicer guy in all of sports than Omar Vizquel of the Indians. That's the kind of image the game wants to have. And in truth, if you could meet every big league ball player, the vast majority of them would be a lot closer to that than to the negative stereotype. A full count. It pops away from Lopez. A run scores. Alomar comes across. Griffey to third. Thome to second. And the game tied at 6. Lopez really having trouble catching the unfamiliar Urbina.
Well, maybe it wasn't a cross-up 2 pitches ago. Maybe he's just having trouble picking up the spin on Uget's ball. That pitch is right down the middle. He had his glove up, but maybe he got it up there a little late, and it bounces away. Now watch, this is a pretty good pitch to handle. Nothing especially tough about it. Right in front of you. But Lopez lets it get by, and that should be scored as a pass ball.
And it is. Tying the game at 6. And now the 3-2 to Jeter. Struck him out. Showed him a different arm angle that time. Dropped down on him a bit.
But he still threw the splitter. And with the first base open, I think it allowed him to throw a different pitch. He had first base open, so he throws it down and away, and Jeter chases it. Well, that's not a splitter. That's just a little cut fastball.
Well, he needed a strikeout in that spot and got it. Now he faces Ivan Rodriguez, who has a pair of singles and has flied to right. There goes the bat on the swing and a miss. A near record javelin distance.
Everything goes farther here in this ballpark, even the bats.
Tossed equipment included.
He was fooled completely by that pitch, and he's just swung at it with his hands, his wrist, and he flips it. It's a long way. Good hammer throw.
Joe, you played with Johnny Bench.
Right.
Ivan Rodriguez has won 6 straight Gold Gloves. Just 26 years old. Many more great years ahead of him. There's also Charles Johnson.
Right.
Now with the Dodgers. How do you rank them among the all-time best, or at least the best you've seen?
Well, I'd always said I wouldn't compare anyone else to Johnny Bench because I think it would be an embarrassment to them. But I have compared Ivan Rodriguez and Charles Johnson to him because I think they are in his class as catchers. Johnny Bench was a different type of a hitter. Johnny was a big clutch situation type guy. He drove in a lot of runs. So from the offensive side, they're all different. Rodriguez is a good hitter, but from a defensive standpoint, you know, you can throw a blanket over the 3 of them.
This one gets away from Lopez. The go-ahead run comes across in the person of Griffey, and Thome to third. That one's a wild pitch. The earlier one, a pass ball.
But it's still something that I thought Lopez should have blocked. It is a wild pitch. See, it's a wild pitch. He tries to block it. He gets over in front of it. It goes off the heel of his glove and bounces away. If it would have bounced up in his chest, he would have kept it in front of him. See, he's trying to get his body over there, but he's a little late. And that's why that ball bounces away from him. He actually seems to be reacting a little late to who gets ball, and I think it may be because he's not picking it up as well out of his hand.
Now the 1-1 pitch. Outside and low, 2-1. This is a game filled with sluggers, but this inning, as we look at your former teammate, Hall of Famer Johnny Bench, this inning, a nightmare for the National League. A pair of infield singles, a walk, a pass ball, and a wild pitch as they relinquish the lead.
I'm
2-2.
Shocked to see John here. He didn't call me for any tickets.
He's got pull. He doesn't need your help.
Look at that hat, man. I think he's ready for the golf course. He's probably headed up to Tahoe to play in the golf tournament this weekend.
Rodriguez, as we said, just in his mid-20s, he has a chance to catch up with Johnny Bench. Full count. In the last 3 All-Star games before tonight, there were 15 total runs scored. Tonight, we're in the top of the 6th. 13 runs have come across.
This ballpark, as you mentioned at the open,
and another one will trot home. Thome comes in on Rodriguez's 3rd hit of the night. It's 8-6 American League. Big night for the Rangers catcher.
Well, Rodriguez is hitting .350 during the regular season, and the reason he's able to handle any type of pitch is because he doesn't pull off anything. He stays right there, lines the ball to left field, because his first idea is to go to right field, and you throw him anything off speed and he'll pull it, and that's what happens here. And he rips that single to left field.
Ripken's 1 for 3. Rodriguez takes off on the first pitch, and Lopez won't throw.
And he stole that bait on Uget, as they did the other one. He is not checking the runners well. He's not stopping them. And here's Rodriguez, a catcher who just takes off. He takes off right away, and he got a good jump and no chance for Lopez to throw him out.
And the 0-1 to Cal. This one's in the dirt. Lopez ought to get combat pay for this half inning.
Well, we talked about how Uget keeps the ball down. Well, tonight he's been keeping it rather low in front of Lopez. He blocks that one.
Mike Piazza in the dugout saying to himself, they got me out of there just in time. Here's the 1-1. In the air to right. Sprinting over is Alou into foul ground. Diving, but can't quite make the play. Score 2. And he stays alive.
They're scoring runs, Bob, but not hitting home runs as we anticipated. But we're only in the 6th inning.
Well, there have been a couple.
Yeah,
Rodriguez and Alex Rodriguez for the American League, and Bonds the big 3-run shot for the National League. Two and 2 to Ripken. And why not?
What color are they painted?
I believe the old expression is painted red.
Okay.
A bouncing ball to second. Biggio backs up from the outfield grass. He finally puts an end to a 3-run American League 6th. Javi Lopez saying anybody but Urbina when I go back out there next time.
Keith Olbermann back at the All-Star game with Ken Griffey, whose night is over. And does this experience invigorate you? Does this make a lift in the middle of your season to be here with your friends and all the rivals on the National League team?
Well, it's an opportunity to trade stories. Trade stories with Barry, see how the family doing, and everybody else. Larry. So it's a chance to really talk to the guys that I don't see during the season.
Now, everybody here predicted this would be another home run hitting contest. We got 18 hits so far and 14 runs, but only 4 extra base hits. So it's not the home run hitting contest. This is good hitting on both sides.
Well, you've got some great pitchers that are on the mound, and when you got great pitching, the ball doesn't fly as far.
It doesn't?
Nah, no matter where you're playing.
Yeah, I have to ask because everybody else has. Are you tired already of the home run talk?
I don't worry about it. Just whatever happens, happens. I'm not in a position to say anything. I mean, we're still 24, 25 away to even catching it. So, it's a long season.
All right, your night is over. We thank you for taking the last minutes here to join us, Ken.
No problem. See you later.
Good enough. Ken Griffey Jr. Bob, back to you.
Ken, a mellow man.
Yeah, no problem.
Walt Weiss to lead it off, bottom of the 6th. Against Tampa Bay's Rolando Araujo. Technically a Major League rookie, but he'll be 30 in less than 2 weeks. And for a decade, he was a member of that terrific Cuban national team. Weiss lifts one into center field. Darren Erstad, who's moved from left to center, makes the catch. So Araujo on the mound is about as experienced as a rookie can be, and he's 10-5 for an expansion team. Changes everywhere. Brocious of the Yankees at third base, O'Neill of the Yankees in left field, Palmeiro of the Orioles in at first base, Erstad from left to center, Manny Ramirez of the Indians in right field. If you're scoring at home, stop. Fernando Vina now to pinch hit. From the Brewers, who were once in the American League and now find themselves in the National. Slashed foul. 1-2.
Most people still remember Fernando Vina for being the guy that Albert Bell ran over at second base a couple of years ago, and he was suspended for it. He was a very fine second baseman.
1-2 pitch, line toward the gap in left center field. In there for a hit. O'Neill cuts it off. Wide turn for Vigna, and a 1-out single. Craig Biggio is going to play a long time tonight. He comes up for his 4th at-bat. Actually, officially, it'll be his 3rd since he was hit by a pitch, along with 2 strikeouts so far.
Last year, this time, everyone was hyping him for the most valuable player award. I think it's going to be very difficult for a middle infielder that doesn't hit a lot of home runs to win that award in the future, because these outfielders and first basemen have put up such huge numbers that they're going to be overshadowed.
The guy on the mound, Rolando Araujo, defected from Cuba 2 years ago as of Thursday of this week. It was only a short while ago that his mother, his brother, and his sister-in-law, along with some other relatives, arrived in the Florida Keys on a raft. And Araujo immediately brought them to Tampa Bay. At the major league level, I guess with the possible exception of hockey, where you have so many Europeans and Russians, Canadians and Americans as well, there really is no sport that is as international as baseball is now. And Biggio strikes out for the 3rd time tonight, which is very atypical for him. As of last year, there were more Hispanic players in the majors than African American players. More and more Asians coming in, even the occasional Australian international scouting becoming so important. And it makes the diverse backgrounds of the players extremely interesting. I mean, the circumstances that this guy comes out of are so much different than most of the people he shares that clubhouse with. Here's Devon White. A liner to center, and White is 2 for 2. He had tripled earlier.
Devon White is having an excellent season for the Diamondbacks. And the roar is for Andres the Big Cat.
Still immensely popular here, as you can see, and has had some amazing achievements that basically, at least on a national level, have been overshadowed the last few years. In 1973, he won the batting title at .370 for the Rockies, last man in the National League other than Tony Gwynn to do it, and 2 years ago he knocked home 150. This ball is well hit to center. Erstad going back. Not quite to the track. Now backs up to the wall as it continues to carry before he puts it away. They leave a couple. And we're back after these words from your local station.
Mothers and daughters in conflict on the next Montel.
You know, this can't be an extra inning game because I ain't got the players.
We'll do like spring training. We'll just
that's it, yeah, that's it.
Ed Montague reassuring Mike Hargrove will play by spring training rules. These are National League now rather than American League changes we're looking at. Trevor Hoffman, who has been perfect, 25 of 25 save opportunities this year for the Padres, is in there. Scott Brocious leads off against him for the American League. Edgar Renteria replaces Weiss at shortstop, the lone Marlin representative. New second baseman is the Brewers' Fernando Vigna. And the left fielder is the Rockies' Dante Bichette. Oh, 0-2 to Brocious, who hit just .203 last year with the A's and has upped it more than 100 points as a member of the Yankees.
And not just that, Bob, he's driven in a lot of clutch runs. He's on a pace to drive in 100 runs.
He replaced Ripken at third base, but he's hitting 9th in the order, and the pitcher spot is now the 8th slot vacated by Ripken. Top of the 7th. 8 runs, 12 hits, and an error for the American League. 6-8-0 for the Nationals. And Hoffman gets him looking. And we go to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. I'm joined by Walt Weiss. One of the most touching and poignant scenes of the evening was his 3-year-old son, Brody, who had been infected with the E. coli bacteria infection back in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. Really was on the brink of fading away and almost losing him. Quite a moment for you when you waved. What went through you and you saw him up there?
I mean, a ton of stuff. I mean, it'll probably take a while to be able to sit back and reflect when I get some quiet time. But it was special having him here. I mean, it was beyond expectations. We didn't think he'd be able to get here.
You're an all-star, but you've certainly found out this month that baseball really hasn't meant a whole lot, has it?
Yeah, I mean, my focus for the most part has been far removed from baseball or the All-Star game. But you know, it looks like it'll be a happy ending. My boy's going to be fine, and this has been a great time here for all of us.
Now, you've gotten a lot of wishes and good luck and prayers from throughout the country, and I know there's a special message that you want to say to everybody. You really haven't had much of an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, our whole family's just been blown away by the amount of people that have reached out to us, and it's really been uplifting for me, my wife, and Brody in particular. So just like to thank everybody. I mean, there's words can't express. I just like to thank everybody for the way they've been concerned and been thinking about us all along.
He's quite a young man, quite a fighter, Brody, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the one that's most likely to get in trouble as we move along here. But you know, maybe that helped him come back. As soon as he turned the corner on this thing, he came storming back. So maybe that helped.
All right, Walt, everybody's grateful for Brody's condition and happy that it's all worked out.
Thanks a lot, Jim.
All right, let's send it across the way now to Keith Oberman, who's with Cal Ripken.
Well, actually, Jim, Cal Ripken is on his way up here from conversing with his teammates. And I don't think we're going to get him fast enough to... No, here he comes. Come on, we're on, Cal. It's the All-Star game. Everybody's a little bit looser. So you're going home a little early. That's a little odd.
Well, I'm out of the game a little early, but I don't think I get to go home yet.
Well, I mean, but you're out a little early. This is a significant event. Why? Because there are 3 third basemen on the American League lineup?
That could be one of the reasons, yeah. Caliber of talent here, we're all interchangeable, I guess. Or we're all replaceable. I don't know.
Well, now, how about the ball in the 4th inning? The double that would have been a home run for another inch.
Well, I was expecting the ball to kind of curve away, and maybe it's the light area here in Colorado. I'm not sure, but the ball just kind of stayed straight. And I was surprised it just stayed and hit the wall. I mean, it was good timing on my part, I think.
I've got to ask, because Joe and Bob were talking about this earlier in the game and talking about the prospect of you resting at some point in the season. Both of them saying that's your call, that's your decision, it's all up to you. So let me just put it out to you there. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, you can really overanalyze and really evaluate the streak any way you want. But
we sportscasters could do that?
Well, I mean, fans, everybody can do that. But the basic thing, it's a very simple approach. I'm the everyday third baseman. I come to the ballpark to play every single day. And I just come out there to get the job done. Sometimes if your performance is down, I'd rather have people talk about your performance than actually just the streak, because taking a day off is not going to correct your performance. Actually working hard and correcting your hitting will correct your performance. So usually the streak talk comes up when I'm not quite hitting like I normally do, and that's where I am right now. It's just a management thing.
Okay. Cal, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. Okay. Cal Ripken, back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Keith. And Cal, Roberto Alomar, who is the only starter remaining in the game for either team. He's 2 for 3 with a walk tonight, with 2 out and nobody on in the top of the 7th. This is a 3-0 pitch from Trevor Hoffman, in there for a called strike. Hoffman has saved 52 of the last 53 games he's been called upon to close over the last couple of years. That's out of play. A rarity for Cal. Not so much in an all-star game. This is the way they usually play it. He plays 6 or 7 innings and then comes out. But he gets to be a spectator while a game in which he was a participant goes on, and he gets to watch his teammate Roberto Alomar go deep. His 3rd hit of the night. This one for the distance. And the American League widens its lead.
Well, I say it was only the 6th inning. We still may see some more home runs in this ballpark. Looked like a breaking ball from Hoffman. That's a changeup.
And that's been his money pitch lately, hasn't it?
Yes, but he was a little bit out in front of it. He actually fools him a little bit, but he just gets good extension, extends the bat out over the plate, and pulls it down the line for a home run.
So Robbie's 3 for 4 with a walk. And it's 9-6 Americans. First at bat for the Yankees, Paul O'Neill.
And Paul O'Neill is probably one of the most underrated players in the American League. I mean, he just continues to hit well year in, year out, drive in runs, clutch runs, hits great with runners in scoring position.
1-2. O'Neill in the All-Star game for the 5th time in his career. His consistent self as always, hitting .323. A bouncer to third. Castilla short hops it and gets it. Stretch time for the National League fans. They're down by 3. 7th inning stretch time at Coors Field, and a perfect moment. How appropriate. Harry Carey singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" on the big board. And in attendance at Coors Field tonight, Harry's widow, Dutchie Carey. What an outpouring of appreciation and affection for the longtime voice of the Cardinals and the Cubs, who passed away during the offseason. John Wetland into the game. World Series hero for the Yankees in '96, an all-star now with the Rangers. Dante Bichette of the Rockies bats for the first time and chops one towards short. Jeter gets it. Sandy Alomar Jr. is the new catcher. Ivan Rodriguez is out of the game. Roberto Alomar remains in the game, and he and his brother are on the field at the same time. Robbie is the only starter remaining in the game as we move into the 7th. And a called strike to Vinny Castilla, whose nickname is Cuz, for my cousin Vinny. A high pop-up. Alomar off with the mask. 2 gone. Once again, the aerial shots brought to you by Pepsi, the choice of Major League Baseball. Two quick outs in the bottom of the 7th. And Javi Lopez comes to the plate. Big numbers again this year for the Braves. Cuts and misses.
Lopez is a guy that's just gotten better each year from an offensive standpoint. I mean, he just continues to drive in runs, raise his average. Very fine hitter.
Mixed bag for Javi in last year's All-Star game. He homered in his only at-bat in Cleveland off Jose Rosado of the Royals, but he also fractured his left thumb in the same game. That homer was the NL's only run last year at Jacobs Field. They lost it 3-1. And he goes down swinging. Wetland comes in and restores some order, working a perfect 7th. 9-6 AL. We go back to the last of the 5th, and Barry Bonds really unloads. And look at this. It hits smack in the middle of the San Francisco Giants insignia hanging from the upper deck. A 3-run shot that gave the National League a 6-5 lead. The American League has since come back to lead at 9-6 as we move to the top of the 8th. The new pitcher is the former Red, Jeff Shaw, now of the Dodgers. He'll pitch in the All-Star game as a Dodger before he ever throws a regular season pitch in their uniform. First at bat from Manny Ramirez, who fouls it off for strike 1.
Manny Ramirez has been the hottest player probably in the American League the last couple of weeks. Really swinging the bat well. He's hit like 8 home runs in a 2-week spell.
He had a 4-home-run weekend coming into the All-Star game, including a grand slam to give him 20 for the year. Shaw led the National League in saves for the Reds a year ago. Tapped foul at the plate.
Good numbers there. 302 batting average, 20 home runs, 71 ribbies.
You can hear the bat shatter as he rolls it to Castilla. Good charging play to throw him out. And we throw it to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. I'm joined by the manager here of the National League. Jim, you're going to get everybody in the game. You've got your card here in front of you. Seems like that's one of your biggest concerns.
Well, it's going to be real close, and I had to be careful with Schilling. He wasn't just right, so I'm going to save him in case of emergency. And Rick Reed, I want to be real careful with, and Ashby can only go 1. But it's a fun thing, and it's a tough game for both guys to manage because you want to get guys in. But Trevor Huffman, if he had a real easy one, I might have let him go another one. But at the same time, you got to be careful. San Diego opens up a day from now on a pennant race. I don't want to hurt anybody's chances of advancing to the postseason play. And so this is a fun thing, and I'm having fun with it, and we're in pretty good shape. If we can come around really, Lou and Renneria, maybe a couple guys get on, and I got Vaughn waiting in that one spot for Hoffman, with a chance to hit a big fly.
You say you're having fun, but I know you're as competitive as a guy as there is out there. Does the score bother you?
Well, right now I don't like it, because we're behind, but, I don't know. The score, I guess, for us athletes is always the most important thing. But in a game like this, you can't get crazy either, Jim, so I'm going to watch it. And obviously, I don't like the way it looks right now, but in this ballpark, you don't know.
What's it been like for you to have many of your guys back with you who were with you last year on the Marlins?
Well, it's been very enjoyable, but it's good to see the great players from all around the league. And it's been a nice reunion. It's too short, but it's been fantastic.
Jim, a lot of people are wondering what you might do in your situation with the Marlins. Will you address that here in the second half of the season? Will you continue the season with them? And would you be willing to come back in this entire rebuilding process, or would you care to move on?
Well, I can tell you this. If I can come up with a team like I got tonight, I'd stay there for a long time.
Good way to dodge that one, and we won't badger you here on your own bench. Back up to you, Bob.
Very artful response.
I told you he was a great manager. That's the first thing a great manager has to do, be able to dodge questions from his players as well as the media.
2-2 pitch from Jeff Shaw to Rafael Palmeiro. A little flare back a short. Renneria out. Can't get to it. So Palmeiro's aboard with 1 out. July 25th and 26th on NBC, the seniors tee it up for the U.S. Senior Open from the Riviera Country Club in Pacific Palisades, California. After strong showings at the Masters and the U.S. Open, Jack Nicklaus looks to become the best of the seniors at their most prestigious championship. The U.S. Senior Open, July 25th and 26th on NBC. Omar Vizquel, 5-time Gold Glove winner, has the best fielding percentage ever for a career for a shortstop.
Bobby's probably the only player in this game that is here mainly because of his defense, but he's also hitting over 300 this year. He's having a good season, but defense is what he specializes in. He's kind of like Ozzie Smith.
There goes the runner, and Vizquel sends one into center field for a hit. Palmeiro's on his way to third. And Vizquel, although he'll always primarily be known for his glove, has become, like Ozzie Smith did, a very effective offensive player. He's hitting .302 this year and comes through with a hit here.
Well, it's a good hit and run situation here. They send Palmeiro, gets a fastball away, lines it in the left center field for a base hit. Shaw, fastball away, and he goes the other way with it.
Now Sandy Alomar Jr. First pitch swinging, fouls it off down the right field line. The hero of last year's All-Star game in front of his hometown fans in Cleveland with the game-winning home run.
And also just a big home run that helped put the Indians into the World Series last year. The home run off of Rivera in the playoffs.
Vizquel is running. Little pop, shallow right. This one's in a good spot, too. It plunks down for a hit. Vizquel to third as Palmeiro scores. The American League is in double digits, leading 10-6.
Not just home runs help score runs in this ballpark, but because it's such a big ballpark, all those little bloops, as I talked about earlier, will fall in. I mean, you have to play deep, and anything that's popped up carries enough to get over the infielders' heads, but the outfielders are playing so deep, there's nothing they can do to help them on little flares into the outfield. And we've seen 2 of those this inning, and about 6 during the entire ball game.
So now here comes Dean Palmer, the Royals representative, former Ranger, power threat, has had as many as 38 home runs in a season. If my scorecard is correct, and that's an iffy proposition with these players moving in and out, the only position player who hasn't played yet for the American League is Ray Durham of the White Sox.
See, he's got such great hands, he's still fielding the ball. He just catches everything.
Durham is the only guy who hasn't hit yet for Mike Hargrove. Omar, as you know, often will field a ball at shortstop barehanded just to hurry the throw, so he doesn't have to bother to switch it from his gloved hand to his throwing hand. He's just amazing. Call strike 1 and 2. Mike Hargrove flatly says, and this is a big statement, there's Ray Ordonez, the youngster with the Mets who makes eye-popping plays, and of course there's Ozzie, who remains the standard, but Hargrove says Vizquel is the best fielding shortstop he's ever seen.
Well, I think he would get a lot of argument on that.
You played with Concepcion.
Yes, and I also saw Ozzie Smith.
Broken bat roller to short. Renteria shovels it to second for 1, on to first. Double play, and they needed it to keep things reasonably close. Some kind of record for broken bats tonight. 10-6 American League.
The new zero-pressure Michelin. So revolutionary it won't go flat, even with the puncture the size of a golf ball, letting you drive up to 50 miles at 55 miles per hour. Just what you'd expect from Michelin.
The critics are crazy about Mary.
My Mary?
I love her, man! MTV Radio calls it the funniest movie of the decade. The Animal House of the 90s.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
Rolling Stone calls it the biggest and boldest laughs of the summer. Sensational, sicko fun.
How's everything?
Fine. You know, strong like balloon.
There's something about Mary. Rated R. Special sneak preview tomorrow. Check newspapers.
There are times when it becomes a battle of will. When gaining ground means losing blood. When exhilaration meets exhaustion. When the
vision of your goal is blurred only by the tears in your eyes. And either you have it in you, or you don't. Gatorade. Is it in you?
Later on an all-new Tonight Show, Arsenio Hall leaves his mark at the All-Star Game.
Hey, this is Ken Griffey Jr. Yo, Ken, what's up?
And Lethal Weapon 4's Chris Rock.
Were you good at sports? Were you a baseball player?
I sucked at every sport, Jay. That's why I'm a comedian.
Plus actress Lena Olin. And looks like Arsenio and Marge Schott are hitting it off. Then Conan's got Rich Hall tonight.
Keith Olbermann at the All-Star Game in Denver, and it's a flashback time. That is a very young Mike Hargrove in his at-bat in the 1975 All-Star Game in Milwaukee. Mike, memory?
I remember that my knees were shaking so hard and my eyes were blinking that I didn't see the first pitch. It looked like it was a pitch in, and then Don Sutton was pitching. The next pitch he threw a fastball up. I believe I flew out to right field.
I believe we just saw that, but now what happened on that pitch in? He almost hit you and something?
Well, yeah, I didn't see it. I was so nervous. I mean, here I was from the town of Perryton, Texas, a little bit of town in the Texas Panhandle, and I'm in an All-Star game. Johnny Bench is catching, and Don Sutton's pitching, and my knees were shaking and my eyes were blinking so hard I couldn't keep them from blinking, and I didn't see the pitch. So.
And Bench warned you?
He yelled to watch out.
Now you've got everybody in your lineup out here of the regulars or of the position players except Ray Durham.
Right.
Are you going to try to sneak him in at the end?
Well, we're going to try, but I just got through talking to him, and as sad as it is, you've got to have somebody in reserve in case somebody gets hurt or you go into extra innings. We've done that. We're going to do that probably tonight with Ray Durham. We're doing that also with Aaron Seeley. Pedro Martinez talked to us before the game and said that he'd rather not throw, that he'd rather get ready for his next start. I understand that. He said that his shoulder had a little knot in it, but he's fine. He just didn't want to chance anything. Needed the time, so we put him back in reserve. Told us that he could pitch in an emergency, so that's how we're going to use him.
But you know from personal experience how important it is to come here and to get in.
Yes, I really do, and I know that when I went there in '75, I believe Alvin Dark was a manager, and there was I would have been disappointed had I not got in, but I would have understood, and I think the guys here are probably disappointed, but I think they do understand.
And Pedro Martinez was fooling around with the bat before, so if something goes wrong here with a 4-run lead at Coors Field, you never know, you might be able to put him in that way.
We could do that. We could do that. Hope not.
Now here I am managing for you, in addition to interviewing you in the middle of the game.
You might as well do it. Everybody else tries to do it.
Mike Hargrove, we appreciate you stopping by.
My pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bob, back up to you.
Thanks, Keith and Mike. Edgar Renteria, whose offense is beginning to catch up with his defense, hitting .302 with 28 steals now, faces the Red Sox closer, Tom Gordon. Still 1-2. Mike Hargrove has a lot of bad memories of Moises Alou from last year's World Series. Alou is at first after beginning this inning with a flare single to right.
We've had more flares than we have home runs in this ball game. Just a lot of flares.
Flares and broken bats, huh?
Yeah.
A bouncer, Castilla knocks it down, make it Brocious. If Castilla is playing for both leagues, we've really got a scoop. So now the National League with something brewing in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, Renteria hits a high chopper, and it appears that maybe Brocious jumped too quickly or maybe lost it in the lights. Now watch him. He's looking up. He's looking up. Now he jumps a little bit too quickly. But we'll see how they score that. Base hit, I guess. Nice leap. Now they change. They give him an error.
And a tough error. The second for the American League. Griffey had one earlier. Vigna of the Brewers singled in his only at-bat. They're a base runner away from bringing the tying run to the plate in the 8th. And now it's 3-0. Well, Jim Leland was telling Jim Gray about the potential strategy to get Greg Vaughn up there in a situation where a home run would help out. One more ball to Vigna, and Vaughn will be the tying run at the plate. That's what it is. The bases are loaded after the walk, and Vaughn comes up as a pinch hitter.
Well, that tells you why he's such a great manager. He figures these things out, and he gets his hitters in the right position to help him.
A bloop single to right. An error by the third baseman Brocious. A 4-pitch walk to Vigna. And Vaughn to the plate. Bases loaded, nobody out. Strike one swinging. After last year, the Padres tried to trade Vaughn to the Yankees. He didn't pass the physical, had a bad shoulder. They sent him back. Then they shopped him to other teams, no takers. Boy, are they glad that they were left to keep him. A ball and a strike.
Well, he told me that last year part of the problem was he was being platooned with Ricky Henderson. This year he's had left field all to himself, and Tony Gwynn says they would be down toward the bottom without Greg Vaughn this year.
He hits it hard, and it takes a wicked hop past Brocious. 1 run home, now 2. It's 10-8 with 2 on and nobody out.
Brocious is lucky that this ball took a high bounce over him because it would have gone through him. He gets a breaking ball down and out over the plate, and he rips it down the third baseline. And watch Brocious. He tries to get in front of it, but he is lucky that that ball didn't hit him someplace because it would have hurt him. Bounces over his shoulder and goes to the left field. He says, yeah, I'm lucky. Good hitting there by Vaughn, and he drives in a couple of runs for the National League.
Wiley to the mound for a brief chat, but Gordon stays in as the Angels' Troy Percival gets ready. Most runs ever scored in an All-Star game, 20. 1954, American League 11, National League 9. 18 tonight. 2 on, nobody out, bottom of the 8th.
So we're 1 swing away from maybe breaking that record.
Devon White bounces it foul. He's tripled and singled tonight. Who does Leland have left? I think it's just Jason Kendall and Brett Boone. 1-1.
It's Brett Boone, the representative from the Cincinnati Reds.
In the air to left on a line, it drops. Vigna being waved home, close play. They got him. And you have to ask why, with nobody out. Paul O'Neill threw him out.
Yeah, but he threw a fly ball. I'm also surprised that Greg Vaughn didn't advance. Now watch, he throws him out, but look how high this ball is. It's well over the cutoff man, and Vaughn and the other runner did not move up, but a nice tag there by Sandy Alomar. Nice throw right on the money from Paul O'Neill, and the tag is applied, but the other 2 runners stay at first and second. See, the ball is too high to be cut off.
And now it's Galarraga, who flied to deep center his only time up. So they could have had the bases loaded with nobody out. Now first and second, 1 down. And a chopper over the mound. Jeter steps on the bag and throws and got him. Make it Vizquel. Thankfully, a commercial break. These changes have my head spinning.
Get out of the way! This Friday. God, I give my right arm for a siren right now. If you're looking for fun, join the gang. Lethal Weapon 4 is the best yet. More action, more thrills, more laughs. Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, Joe Pesci, Rene Russo, and Chris Rock in a Richard Donner film. Lethal Weapon 4.
This summer's gonna be lethal.
Rated R. Starts Friday, July 10th.
Superstitious? It's a little bit strong. I mean, I do whatever I have to do to help out the team. Let's say you got a tie game, full count. Nobody's on. If I can eat a whole hot dog before the runner gets to first base, then he's coming home. In case of high-scoring games, Rolaids.
Rolaids starts to neutralize acid in less than 10 seconds, getting you back on your game fast.
Nachos, of course, are the key to a great double play.
Rolaids. R-O-L-A-I-D-S. Spells relief.
You know that grand slam last week?
Who's gonna break that home run mark and hit 62 out of the park? McGuire's on fire, and he's got company. Griffey, Sosa, Galarraga, Rodriguez. The race for the record is on. Fasten your seatbelts. Baseball's departing daily from a major league ballpark near you. Who's gonna crush 62 before the season is through? Don't miss a minute.
This summer, only one man can become anyone. The Pretender, NBC Wednesdays.
This is Jim Donovan at Coors Field in Denver. Remember, right after the ball game tonight on Channel 3 News, we'll have complete coverage of the 69th Major League Baseball All-Star Game. All the highlights, and we'll hear from the Indians as all 6 of them try and win it for the American League. All of that coming up live from Denver after the game.
There's a city in Northeast Ohio with some amazing stories to share with you. It's a city we cover 24 hours a day, every day. Strengthening our commitment to Akron. Judd Hambrick. Weeknights at 6 and 11 on Channel 3.
The 1998 All-Star Game is brought to you by Warner Brothers' new motion picture Lethal Weapon 4, starting Friday, July 10th at a theater near you. And by Nike.
Well, the National League scored 2, but it could have been worse. Devon White hits a single to left field. And watch this throw by Paul O'Neill right on the money to cut down Vigna at the plate. And that saves a run. Nice tag there by Alomar Jr. Now look at this. This is a double play. This is why Vizquel is the best. I mean, this is a very difficult play. Watch the hop he gets. Takes it on the hop, tags it on the move, steps aside and makes the throw. That did look a little bit like the Wizard, didn't it? This is what Hargrove had to say.
Atta baby, atta baby.
Oh, it's his guy, the guy he touts as the best he's ever seen, ending the inning. The National Leaguers scored 2, but it could have been a lot more. The American League's defense bailing them out. They lead 10-8 as we move to the 9th. Rob Nen, last year's Marlin closer, now with the Giants, where he's put up all-star numbers. 2-1 to Brocious.
Watch Rob Nen. He's got an interesting motion in that he taps his front foot just before he throws to the plate. And I think that can be a little distracting to the hitter if you get caught up in it. Watch his front foot.
Through the middle. Had Nen dancing. Brocious leads off the 9th with a hit.
Almost didn't get that foot down in time. Watch his foot. Watch him step. He'll step. Right here, step. Now he steps again. Very unusual delivery. Almost. Look at this. I mean, this is a tough position to end up in. And the line drive right back through the middle.
Now Nen faces Darren Erstad. Erstad's 0 for 1. From Fargo, North Dakota. Brocious breaks for second. The throw not in time.
Well, the American League has come out very aggressive against the National League today. I mean, they've stolen bases. They've put hit and runs on. They've done a lot of things that you don't see a lot of times in all-star games. So they've been very aggressive in this ball game.
Roll to the right side, and Vigna has it eat him up. Brocious to third. They throw in behind him, not in time. On the error, Erstad is at first. With nobody out, runners at the corners as the American League tries to add to a 10-8 advantage.
Well, Erstad, pretty good hitter, hits the ball hard on the ground. Vigna gets over in front of it, takes a little tricky hop there right in front of him, and he's not able to play it. Watch this last bounce. It'll bounce up high, and he wasn't able to get his hands out in front quick enough to make the play.
Now Hargrove gets Durham into the game. With the infield in for the National League, Durham bats for Robbie Alomar. So the American League has used all its position players. With Frank Thomas slumping, Albert Bell already being shopped around, we're told, by the White Sox. It's Durham who's the White Sox representative. Erstad goes, and the bouncer eludes Galarraga. In comes Brocious. Erstad to third. 11-8.
You don't see this many hit and runs in a week in Major League Baseball now. It's more of a power game. Durham, a good hitter, having a fine season, rips it into right field for a base hit. Erstad is on the move. Galarraga way off the bag, almost comes down with it, but it goes into right field for a base hit. And they are playing hit and run. They're playing they're stealing bases. They're just doing a little bit of everything.
Paul O'Neill now takes a ball. Erstad at third, I started to mention a moment ago, from Fargo, North Dakota, the hometown of Roger Maris.
Oh. I thought you were going to talk about the movie.
Well, also, you betcha. Yeah, you betcha. Ray Durham breaks for second. And Lopez won't throw.
And again, I mean, this is very aggressive play by the Indians, and I guess Hargrove says, I haven't been able to win a World Series. I'm going to run them to death.
So now as the American League looks to pour it on, second and third, nobody out, and O'Neill taps it foul.
Maybe that's why he's doing all that running. He has more than just his Indian guys over there. He's got the entire league running.
No question, they came here tonight having decided to be very aggressive. They've run at every opportunity. Fastball misses, 3-1.
Tell you what, he sounds loud. That fastball is popping.
Couple of Indians, Vizquel and Alomar Jr. laughing it up. Full count. The gun had that one at 97.
No wonder it's popping.
The payoff. Galarraga dives to make the play, and the Big Cat takes it unassisted with the runners holding.
And Galarraga is known more than just his bat. I mean, they call him the Big Cat because he moves around so quickly over there at first base. He almost got the ball that Durham hit by ranging wide off the bag at first, but this one he comes down with, and Paul O'Neill wasn't real happy.
Galarraga still spry at age 37. Now it's Manny Ramirez, 0 for 1 on the night. Rick Reed of the Mets and Curt Schilling of the Phillies are the only pitchers Jim Leyland hasn't used. Ends 0-1 pitch. Hits softly into right. The catch is made by Bichette. Erstad tags the throw. Not in time. He slid under the tag. The former Nebraska Cornhusker punter and place kicker, member of their 95 national championship team, scores to make it 12-8 American League.
Well, here's the throw. It's going to be a close play at the plate. throw is a little bit up the line, and Erstad slides back past him. Here's Erstad as he goes to tag up. Slips a little bit, but the ball was deep enough, and he has good enough speed that he was able to get in and score anyway. Lopez tries to block the plate and tag him at the same time, but he wasn't able to do that.
Now Palmeiro, one more look at the play at the plate.
Well, let's take a look. Galarraga lets it go because it's a perfect throw, he thinks, but it's just a little bit up the line, and that was the reason that Erstad was able to get by Lopez.
Beginning with the fourth, the American League has scored in every inning, leading now 12-8. 20 runs combined ties the All-Star record, set in 1954 when the American League won 11-9. Hard to believe, Joe, that this is Palmeiro's first All-Star appearance since 1991, but first base in both leagues is so overloaded with talent that even Palmeiro can't break through.
But he has been a very consistent performer, driving in runs and hitting home runs.
Called strike, 3-1. If he wants some solace from history, he can think of Hank Greenberg of the 35 Tigers, who had 103 RBIs at the break, and his own manager, Mickey Cochran, was managing the American League and didn't take him. Took Lou Gehrig and Jimmy Fox instead. Understandable. Vigna won't get it. Durham comes speeding around third. This is the highest scoring All-Star game in history. Palmeiro's 2 for 2. His RBI hit makes it 13-8 American League.
Well, we thought there may be a lot of runs scored here, but we thought it would be in different fashion. 19 base hits for the American League. And here's the one that breaks the record. Palmeiro, ground ball back through the middle for a base hit. Fastball away. And Durham scores the run that breaks the record.
A strike to Vizquel. Lots of guys playing out of position. Alou is in center field now. Vaughn, a pinch hit earlier, stayed in the game. He's in left. A chopper over the mound, charging Renteria, bare hands. What a play! What a play! The Gold Glover Vizquel has it done to him this time, but it's 13-8 AL.
Vizquel, and we've seen why tonight. 2 barehanded plays. Look at this. This is just a great play by Renteria as he throws out the speedy Vizquel running down the line. Look at this. I mean, this is a very difficult play. He knows if he catches it with his glove, Vizquel will beat it out. Takes one step, throws off balance, and gets some pop on it.
The first All-Star ever from the nation of Colombia.
And that's to Vizquel. He's saying, I got you.
Troy Percival of the Angels on now to try to finish it. Faces Bichette. The only pitchers not used by Mike Hargrove: Aaron Seeley of Texas, Pedro Martinez of the Red Sox. Jason Kendall and Brett Boone are the only National League position players we haven't seen. The only National League pitchers not to appear: Rick Reed of the Mets, Curt Schilling of the Phillies. The American League has used all of its position players. Bichette lines one down the line in right field, and it's just foul. Ramirez tosses the souvenir up toward the fans.
Cute shoes Ramirez has on, huh? You can see him all the way from here. And look at these shoes. Ball just fouled down the right field line.
Couple of Rockies to open the bottom of the ninth. Bichette at the plate. Castilla next. Up and in, 1-2. 13 runs, 19 hits, 2 errors for the American League, 8-11-1 for the National League. struck him out with some major heat.
This fastball kind of tails up and in on Bichette. And you don't have a lot of time to decide whether you're going to swing at it. Up and in, and Bichette a little tardy on it. Percival throws as hard as anyone, and that's a perfect location for that fastball.
In a game in which so many runs were scored, it's probably a defensive play that was as big as any play in the game. Paul O'Neill's throw to the plate, which cut Fernando Vina down, was a real momentum stopper for the National League. They had moved to 10-8, and had Vina stopped at third, they would have had the bases loaded with nobody out. Or had he scored, obviously, it would have been 10-9, and things could have been a whole lot different. This ball is whacked to center, but Erstad has it lined up. So Percival is 1 out from finishing it. And now Jason Kendall, the Pirates catcher, will get into the game, leaving Brett Boone as the only position player we haven't seen for either team.
And that's how the Reds team is going this year anyway. Struggling.
They trade their all-star Jeff Shaw to the Dodgers. Boone gets at it after Sosa's hurt. He sits and watches. Quickly 0-2. Come off the bench, as Kendall is, and try and catch up with the kind of gas that Percival is pumping out there. It's an unenviable task.
And not only that, Percival kind of hides the ball from you, sidearms you a little bit.
Kendall hangs in. Before we go, I'd like to mention the passing several weeks ago of Shirley Povich, the great sports writer from the Washington Post. Literally covered Babe Ruth, Walter Johnson, Ty Cobb. Wrote splendidly well into his 90s, covered all sports, but baseball was his favorite. Every press box he ever walked into was a classier and more decent place for his presence. Wrote with great style and insight for decades and decades. He'll be missed. This ball is fouled wide of first and into the seats. You ever have a chance to meet Shirley Povich? As sweet a man as you'd ever have the opportunity to know.
I was going to say, you wrote that pretty well. You did.
National Leaguers down to their last strike. Hargrove with Wiley. Torrey alongside him on the other side. Another 0-2 pitch. Bounced through the middle, and it sneaks into center field. So Kendall has reason to smile. An all-star base hit.
Well, Percival is a little different from a lot of the pitchers. He falls off. Watch how he falls off. He's not in good fielding position. Ball hit directly back through the mound, over the mound, and he just kind of waves at it. Now watch, Percival falls off toward first base. He's not even thinking about fielding a ball, but he just kind of sticks his glove up.
Now Lewis struck out and singled. Percival not exactly disguising his intentions. Here it is. Go ahead and hit it if you can. The combined 31 hits ties an all-star record. The only thing surprising about this, being that Coors Field is the setting, and with all the run production around baseball this year, the only thing surprising about 13-8 is how many bloops and flares have been part of it. That does it. High heat finishes Alou. The American League wins for the second time in a row. 13-8 in Colorado. we're told, has been named the game's MVP. He had 3 hits. One of them was a home run, one of 3 homers in the game. Barry Bonds of the Giants had the only one for the National League, a towering 3-run shot. Alex Rodriguez of the Mariners had an opposite field home run for the American League. And later, Roberto Alomar connected.
Well, from my perspective, the American League came out more aggressive. They started running right in the first inning, and they never stopped until the last inning. So they came here with a purpose, and they played very well.
Joe, as we wait for a possible interview with Roberto Alomar, it occurs to me that there are at least a dozen, maybe more, but at least a dozen of these players in this game who seem to be virtual locks for the Hall of Fame. It's not quite 1971 when 20 players who played in that game in Detroit went to the Hall of Fame, plus Pete Rose, who has the credentials but has been kept out. He'd make it 21. That was unbelievable. But tonight, a goodly number.
Well, you're right. I mean, they've got a lot of players here. Mark McGwire's going to end up with 500 home runs. Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, all these great players. There are just so many great players in this game. And I think that's what is bringing baseball back. I think people are starting to recognize the talent and the physical skills of all of these great young players that we have in Major League Baseball now. I mean, they've just got sheer physical ability that is starting to set records, you know, for shortstops, guys hitting home runs, challenging the great Ernie Banks. You know, Mark McGwire and Ken Griffey Jr. and Sammy Sosa challenging Roger Maris and Babe Ruth's record. So it's great.
It's been a dismal year for the Baltimore Orioles, but a bright spot tonight as their Roberto Alomar has been named the All-Star MVP. There's a red convertible that's been driven onto the field, and unless it's a giant coincidence, I'm guessing that's the prize.
I don't think he can drive it back to Baltimore, but I'm sure he can figure out how to get it back.
He could probably hire someone to do that for him if he'd like. Here's Keith Olbermann.
Bob, thanks very much. Our All-Star MVP has been selected. It's Roberto Alomar of the Baltimore Orioles, in quite an interesting sequence because his brother Sandy was the MVP last year. And to present the award, here's the director of the Executive Council, Bud Selig. Bud?
Thank you, Keith. Roberto, on behalf of Major League Baseball, it's our privilege to present to you the Most Valuable Player Award in this 1998 All-Star Game. Congratulations on a job well done.
Thank you, thank you. I feel appreciated by the fans for selecting me to be in the All-Star Game, and I want to dedicate this to my family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Robbie, stay with me here for a second. 3 for 4 home run and the hitting field here, and yet aggressive baseball. Only 5 extra base hits out of 41 in the game. This wasn't what a lot of people expected this ball game.
Well, we came out to play the game and try to win the game. We play aggressive. We play aggressive on the bases, and we came in and got some key hits. I think it was a group thing, and we feel real happy about it.
How nice is it to follow your brother in this?
It's real nice. You know, last year my grandmother passed away and Sandy won it, and this year is myself.
You're the most valuable player. Did you think that in the 8th inning there were 2 most valuable plays? Paul O'Neill's throw was terrific, and then Omar's double play was outstanding.
I think Paul O'Neill play kept us in the game, and after that, Omar Vizquel did a great play for us. They're 2 great ball players, but I think it was more of an effort of the whole team, and I'm glad that we won.
Oh, you got the trophy. Congratulations, Robbie. 13-8, Robbie Alomar, the MVP. Bob, back to you.
Keith, thanks very much. And in a game that wound up 13-8, don't forget the contributions of a pair of Yankees. The Yankees have gone 61-20. Prior to the All-Star break, their David Wells pitched 2 scoreless innings as the starter, and as Keith mentioned, Paul O'Neill's throw to the plate that cut down Fernando Vina was one of the most important plays of the night. The final score, Americans 13, Nationals 8. Join us Saturday on NBC Sports for the WNBA as the surprising Detroit Shock. That's what it says here. If you're called the Shock, you should be surprising. They'll take on the Washington Mystics. That's at 2 Eastern Time. Followed at 4 by the Isuzu Celebrity Golf Championship from the shores of Lake Tahoe. That's Saturday on NBC Sports. Tonight, after your late local news, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Arsenio Hall on the program, along with Lethal Weapon 4's Chris Rock. For Joe Morgan, Jim Gray, Hannah Storm, and Keith Olbermann, I'm Bob Costas saying so long from Denver. You've been watching the Major League Baseball All-Star Game on NBC.
case you missed the early parts of the game, this is what happened. The scoring came in bizarre fashions in many cases. David Wells, Greg Maddux, starting pitchers. Mark McGwire got a big ovation. As it hometown heroes like Larry Walker and former Rocky Walt Weiss and his son Brody. What a marvelous story there to watch. What a warm reception for Cal Ripken. Top of the first. Greg Maddux. Leadoff man, Kenny Lofton. Lofton with a base hit to left center field. So Maddux certainly was not invincible. After Lofton steals second, drag bunt by Robbie. Remember the Alomar. Maddux late covering. So 2 on after 2 batters with Griffey and Gonzalez coming up, Harold.
He bears down on Griffey. Now watch him throw the cutter, gets in on his hands, jams him. After a tough at bat, gathered himself, got it back together. And then Juan Gonzalez, he fouled a couple balls. He had him going to right field, came back inside, busts his bat there, checks the runners back, gets him out. He knows when to pitch this situation. And then Alex Rodriguez absolutely had no chance. He panted him on 3 pitches. Right there, see you later, A-Rod.
So first and third with none out, and they get nada. David Wells, he had the perfecto, got the bat. Grounded to second and said to McGwire, you know, this is still fun, isn't it? A couple of big guys exchanging pleasantries at first base. Bottom of the third, no score. Tony Gwynn off of the Rocket Man, Roger Clemens. Base hit off Valomar's glove. Larry Walker, Walt Weiss score. Gwynn comes through, 2-0 National League. 2 on for Mark McGwire. They have faced each other many times in the American League, and Clemens, case of 4 for 48 lifetime. McGwire against Clemens still remains 2-0 National League. Cal Ripken will rally off of Tom Glavine, second National pitcher. Missed the home run by a foot. Missed it by that much. A-Rod and I-Rod come around to score. We're tied at 2 in the fourth, and then Junior against Glavine.
Great at bat against Glavine. He worked him for the walk, laid off a couple of really tough pitches that forced in a run. And then Juan Gonzalez against Kevin Brown, who came in when they took out Glavine. He came up with 9 guys on base and 4 at bats. This one, he finally got the 1 RBI he got, but tough sinker away, and he put it in the air to get the run in.
4-run fourth, so it's 4-2 AL. Bottom of the foot, Walt White singles to right. Scored Chipper Jones, and what a great story here with Walt, Brody, and the fans. Just to watch his dad play.
It's a remembrance of what a tremendous player and how much these fans here appreciated him.
Bottom of the fifth, it's a 5-3 AL lead. Bartolo, aftershave, Cologne. Ripped by Devon White, who was great today for the Diamondbacks. Leadoff triple in the bottom of the 5th inning. Safe. Next man up is McGwire. 3-2 pitch. Cologne up high. Runners at first and third for Barry Bonds. 2 strikes.
Great at bat, and right here, Cologne goes with his 3rd best pitch, a changeup, and I mean Barry turned it around, Bowman.
Now watch where it hits. Back off the Giants side. The National League has a lead, 6-5, bottom of the 5th. Top of the 6th, though, the AL has taken a 7-6 lead. Who pay for Urbina. Gives up an RBI single to Ivan Rodriguez. Tomey scores 8-6 American League. They're going to run a pass ball, run a wild pitch as a base hit. Bottom 6, former Rocky, Andres the Giant Galarraga, back, needed another back. Off a Rojo, but just short for the 3rd out. Top of the 7th. Well, this is Robbie Alomar, back, gone. A-Rod homered earlier for the American League. Alomar homers here at 9-6. Then, brother Sandy, a little blooper in the 8th. Hit and run scores. Rafael Emerson, Lake and Palmero at 10-6. Coors Field, you're never out of it. Greg Vaughn, pinch hitting Padre. Singles to left, Moises Alou scores. Edgar Renteria scores 10-8. And then all of a sudden, the American League turned up the notch on defense, which saved the game.
Well, they got guys playing out of position, but Paul O'Neill's a normal right field, so you know he's got a gun. Here comes Vena to the plate, and he throws a bullet. Great tag at the plate by Sandy. Got him.
And then with 1 out, watch the play Vizquel makes Harold at short.
Well, Omar, you know he can handle it. Look at the footwork, the graceful touch the bag, and throw the first to get him.
Doubles up Galarraga. So it's 10-8 after 8. This is called insurance. Manny Ramirez to right. Dante Bichette dumps the throw home. But Darren Erstad is safe, beating the tag by Javi Lopez, so 2 runs are in. Omar Vizquel, his first All-Star game off of Robbie the Flying Nen.
Renteria showing why he is such a great player. He's going to let Omar know, you're not the only one that can bear a hand. I can
Colombia bow to Venezuela.
Yeah, there you go. It's a World Cup game. When it was all over, the highest scoring All-Star game ever, the longest All-Star game ever, The American League wins it over the National by the count of 13-8. Cologne gets an interesting win. Urbina gets a not-so-interesting loss. Alomar was 3 for 4, including the home run. Robbie had to also score 2 runs. Is the MVP. He's with our Carl Ravitch.
With Robbie Alomar. 31 hits by 2 teams, 3 hits for you. Was this what you expected?
Well, we didn't expect this kind of game. But you know, we came aggressive. We came aggressive on the bases. We got some key hits with men on scoring position, and we play a great game. So I think we deserve to win the game.
So much has been made about the renaissance that baseball is going through. People are feeling good about the game. Obviously, you've had some problems. Now the most valuable player of the All-Star game. How satisfying is this for you?
Well, to me, it's always satisfying. I love this game, and I'm going to play it the way I know how to play this game. I'm going to give my best, my 100% to win some games, and that's all I'm doing. I'm just having fun in the game, and whatever's in the past already passed in the past.
How difficult the season has it been for you as an Oriole?
It's been difficult, but we have to keep going. Not always you're going to be on the top. And we have to realize that. Hopefully we can make things happen, and hopefully we can play better in the second half.
This was the 6th time that you played with your brother in an All-Star game. Do you think there's a chance you're playing on the same team as your brother before this season's over?
Well, that's something I don't know. It's out of my hands. There've been a lot of trade rumors, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm real happy where I am right now, and that's all I can say towards that.
Okay, Robbie Alomar, thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Most valuable player of the 1998 All-Star game. Back to you.
All right, Robbie, thank you. Tell us a big game because Carl's got the double mic. The highest scoring All-Star game ever with 21 runs, besting the big Al Rosen game in Cleveland in 1954 when the AL beat the NL in a 20-run game, and the one we had in San Diego a few years back when Junior and everybody erupted on Tommy Glavine in a 19-run game. It was also 3 hours and 38 minutes, the longest All-Star game ever played. And I tell you what, guys, Peter, I mean, this was the American League, at 13 runs. They had a pass ball run, a wild pitch run. Except for the 2-run hit by Ripken, 9 guys had 1 RBI. A lot of oddities in this game.
Well, the score was what we thought it would be. Not having the home runs made it interesting. But what we saw was all the different ways that this ballpark is such a great offensive park. I mean, the bouncing balls through the middle very fast infield. Outfielders play so deep. Seemed like we had 50 bloop singles in this game. But I really was impressed by the fact that Mike Hargrove decided to play a very aggressive style. 5 stolen bases, 2 hit and runs. So you mentioned the 2 oddities with the wild pitch and the pass ball when Urbina and Javi Lopez seemed to be playing in different languages. But there's a lot to be said for the wildness in this game. I think pitchers come into this park one time and they try so hard, you end up with innings like Urbina had.
What about second baseman in this park? Robbie Alomar, of course, MVP. It was hard to pick a clear-cut winner for this, but Robbie excelled even as early on as the little drag bunt in the first.
It seemed to be the week of Baltimore second baseman because there's been a lot of talk around Denver that Davey Johnson was here this week. There's a possibility that somewhere down the line he might end up managing the Rockies. That's been buzzing all around the town. But there's also talk of, I mean, you look around at a lot of the showcasing that you have. There's no question that Robbie Alomar is on the market. And Harold, I mean, Robbie Alomar, what he does in a big game, if you're the Braves or the Indians or the Red Sox, you look at this and you're reminded this is one of the great big-time players.
Well, he just kind of keens your senses. I think he's the best situational player in all of baseball. You can hit him anywhere in your lineup, first, second, third, fourth, and he's able to adjust to the situation. A little example of what he was able to do even tonight. Now, this is an outside pitch in a situation with the runner at second. All he's trying to do is get him over. He beats out the base hit. Right here in this situation, he's off and running. He tried to steal 3 times tonight, wasn't successful because they fouled him off. He eventually ended up getting a chance to run on a double steal, leads a double steal, steals third, with Griffey following into second base. He does so many things to create. And right here, he knows the situation. He's trying to go deep on a 3-1 pitch. He fouls it back. And then he gets a 3-2 pitch right here from Trevor Hoffman, and see you later. The situations, he knows exactly what to do when called for. He's not looking to bunt, looking to go deep. Get a double or a homer. He knows exactly what to do, Boomer, and that's why Robbie is so successful.
He's such an igniter, too, and you remember back to the days with Toronto when he just would make something happen, and, of course, a lot of people made things happen in this game. He 31 hits, by the way, ties an All-Star game record. the 26 singles since an All-Star game record. We got lots to talk about here, and we return to Coors Field in Denver, American League 13, the National League 8. Stick around. We have a full menu, including Rocky Mountain oysters. We'll be back.
Archie Manning, he played 14 years in the league but never appeared in a playoff game. And what about his son, Peyton Manning? We'll talk about his debut up close at 6 Eastern.
Mark McGwire has averaged 57 home runs a year the last 3 seasons. Only 6 guys in big league history have ever even hit 57 in one season.
McGwire holds or shares the record for most home runs in 1 season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, or 4 seasons. But did you know the record for most home runs in a 5-year span, 256 of them, set by Babe Ruth. Mark McGwire, over the last 5 seasons, he's hit only 219, only.
We're coming back on McGwire Center. Steve and I will do our McGwire Brian Jordan impression.
Records are meant to be broken.
Fastball hit deep to right. This could be it. Way back there. Holy cow!
If it's going to be broken, it's going to be broken.
Here it comes to McGwire. Swing. Look at there. Look at there. Look at there. McGwire's number 61.
Every night I go home and I'm trying to watch baseball tonight, Sports Center, and trying to see what McGwire do.
Preparado Mike Morgan una vez más. Conectando Mike McGwire a lo profundo. No.
He's just a really big guy with a nice heart, and I hope he does it.
He is incredible. No one can even stand in his shoes, not even close to it. I mean, not Babe Ruth, not anyone.
Hi, folks, and welcome to Mark McGwire Center. Good thing I was wearing a flak jacket there. Alongside Stuart Scott, I'm Steve Levy.
With all due respect to John Elway, Terrell Davis, and Drew Bledsoe, does it really matter what's coming up on McGwire Center other than our lead story?
Simply put, no. Not on this night, not on this